Jayson Williams built his career by battling for every rebound like his life depended on it. But one tragic night, a single pull of a shotgun's trigger shattered more than just silence. It ended a life and derailed his own. Now behind bars, it's as if the fight has left him, and all that remains is the echo of what could have been. Jayson was a beast on the court, raw, untamed, and built for battle. Standing 6 feet 10 inches and playing with unmatched heart, his hustle, energy, and love for the game made him a fan favorite and a rising star in the NBA. In the late 1990s, Jayson was at the top of his game, dominating the boards and earning a spot on the All-Star team in 1998. Everyone saw his potential. He was on the brink of becoming one of the greats. But life doesn't always go the way it's supposed to. For Jayson, everything came to a screeching halt in one horrifying moment. One night in 2002, while he was at his New Jersey mansion, joking around with friends, tragedy struck. In what can only be described as a tragic accident, Jayson was handling a shotgun and an unthinkable mistake occurred. The gun went off, killing his limo driver, Kostas Christofi, who was standing just feet away. That single moment changed Jayson's life forever. The headlines exploded. His promising basketball career, his freedom, and his reputation, everything he had built, came crashing down. From that point on, Jayson Williams wasn't just the NBA star who gave his all on the court. He became a name forever tied to one of the most tragic and controversial stories in sports history. So, how did it all go so wrong for someone with so much promise? How does a rising star in the NBA go from dominating on the court to facing the consequences of a tragic mistake that would change his life forever? Let's take a closer look at what happened that night and how it all spiraled out of control for Jayson Williams. Before everything fell apart, Jayson was the definition of hustle. He wasn't the flashiest player or the most gifted scorer, but what set him apart was his tenacity. He earned his reputation by doing all the gritty work, diving for loose balls, battling in the paint, and grabbing rebound after rebound. Drafted in the first round by the Phoenix Suns in 1990, Jayson eventually found his stride with the New Jersey Nets. By the 1997-98 season, he had transformed into one of the league's top rebounders, averaging nearly 14 boards per game. That same year, he earned his first and only All-Star selection. Fans loved his energy, his passion, and his larger-than-life personality. But while everything looked great on the outside, cracks were starting to form behind the scenes. Off the court, Jayson's life wasn't as stable as it seemed. Like many young athletes who suddenly find themselves surrounded by money, fame, and temptation, he struggled to stay grounded. The partying, the late nights, and the pressure of living up to expectations were starting to take a toll. Jayson wasn't just enjoying his success, he was indulging in it recklessly. It wasn't just the partying, though. Jayson had a temper, and his behavior off the court sometimes raised eyebrows. There were incidents where his judgment came into question, run-ins with the law, disputes with teammates, and an overall reputation for living life on the edge. And then, in 1999, his career took a massive hit when he suffered a devastating leg injury. He would never play another NBA game after that. The injury not only ended his basketball dreams, but also left him with a lot of time to fill, and that's where things started to unravel. By the time 2002 rolled around, Jayson Williams' life had already taken some sharp turns. Retired from basketball and living in his New Jersey mansion, he was still known for his big personality and love of entertaining, but on one night in February, what should have been a casual evening with friends turned into a nightmare. Jayson was hosting a group of people at his home, including Kostas Christofi, the limo driver who had driven them earlier that day. At some point during the night, Jayson picked up a shotgun, a move he likely thought was harmless fun. But then, the unthinkable happened. The gun went off, and the blast struck Christofi, killing him instantly. The scene was chaotic. Reports say that after the shooting, Jayson panicked. He and others at the house allegedly tried to stage the scene to make it look like Christofi had accidentally shot himself. But it didn't take long for the truth to come out. Jayson was charged with aggravated manslaughter, and the case became a media sensation. The details of that night are still debated, but one thing is clear. It was a moment of reckless carelessness that changed everything. Jayson, once a beloved NBA star, was now at the center of a legal and personal disaster. The shooting wasn't just the end of Jayson's career, it was the start of a long and painful decline. The legal battle dragged on for years, with Jayson eventually pleading guilty to aggravated assault and serving time in prison. But the legal consequences were just one part of the story. Behind the scenes, Jayson was battling demons that had been lurking lurking for years. The guilt over Christophe's death, the pressure of the trial, and the collapse of his career all weighed heavily on him. He turned to alcohol and substance abuse to cope, sinking deeper into a cycle of self-destruction. It wasn't just about the accident anymore. It was about everything that led up to it. Jayson's partying, his impulsive decisions, and his inability to separate himself from the darker side of fame had all contributed to the tragedy. And now it seemed like those same patterns were pulling him further into the abyss. For many people, this is where the story would end. A tragic fall from grace with no hope of recovery. But Jayson Williams isn't like most people. After serving time and hitting rock bottom, Jayson made a decision to turn his life around. He entered rehab, started addressing his addictions, and began rebuilding himself from the ground up. It wasn't an overnight transformation. It was a long, painful process, but Jayson refused to let his mistakes define him forever. One of the most remarkable parts of Jayson's comeback is the work he's done to help others. He founded a rehab center called Rebound, which focuses on helping people recover from addiction and rebuild their lives. The program combines therapy with hands-on activities like extreme sports and skill building to give people a sense of purpose and hope. Through Rebound, Jayson has become an advocate for second chances. He shares his story openly, talking to inmates, recovering addicts, and anyone who needs to hear that it's never too late to start over. It's a level of vulnerability and honesty that not everyone in his position would embrace. But for Jayson, it's a way to turn his pain into something meaningful. Jayson Williams' story is one of tragedy, redemption, and everything in between. He went from being a rising NBA star to a man haunted by his mistakes, only to find a way to use those mistakes to help others. It's easy to focus on the tragedy, the accident, the legal battles, the fall from grace, but there's another side to the story that deserves just as much attention. The way Jayson took responsibility for his actions, worked to rebuild his life, and dedicated himself to making a difference. But you know what's wild? Jayson's not just sitting there feeling sorry for himself. He's really trying to turn things around, not just for others, but for himself too. Redemption isn't easy, and for him, it's a fight just like those battles he used to have on the court. It's messy, it's hard, and it doesn't happen overnight. But his story reminds you that even when life goes completely off the rails, there's still a chance to claw your way back. For Jayson, the game's not over. It's just a whole different kind of fight now. Sure, his career didn't end the way anyone expected. And yes, the shadow of that night in 2002 will always follow him. But when you look at where Jayson Williams is today, you can't help but see the strength it took to climb out of the hole he fell into. And that wraps up the story of Jayson Williams. It's a roller coaster ride of success, tragedy, and redemption. A story of the fragility of success and the power of second chances. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about Jayson's journey. Was his redemption enough, or does his past still overshadow everything? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.